argue that Baker converted some of his salary to make this move finally happen.
Skip, I think the thing was Baker was running out of options. But I will give him this, is that normally when we feel someone has done us wrong, we want them to pay the ultimate price. I do believe, Skip, Cleveland handled this situation. They could have handled it better. I don't know how you fire someone in an easy manner. But I just think the way they went about it, going behind his back and doing all this other stuff with Deshaun, I just believe they could have come to him as a man and said, look, Baker, we are on the open market for a quarterback. And if something becomes available, we're probably, and more than likely, we're going to take that opportunity. They could have handled it like that. They handled it wrong. And Baker says, you know what? Because I'm so ready to move on from this situation, I'm willing to go $3.5–4 million of my salary, put that into incentives. Now, Skip, I didn't like putting money in incentives because teams can control that. And whatever incentive that you were trying to give me, I should get that. Skip, I should lead the team in receiving. I'm the best damn receiver. I should lead the team in touchdown catches. I'm the best damn receiver. So I don't want you to tie that because you're giving me something that I should already aspire to have. With that being said, is that Baker said, you know what, I can do $19 million. I'm tired of just mailing around, and I do want to I'll go to Carolina because you could. It might be a situation where you just release me and someone not as good as Carolina comes along. So you know what? I'm willing to forego $3.5 million. I believe I can make it up. You're going to put it in team incentives. You're going to put it in something else, touchdown pass, whatever the case may be. I believe I can make that money back, Skip. That's what he's saying. But when the game is on the line, let's be real, Skip, and I beat Baker up. I don't think for me, is that I'm judging him by the number 1 overall pick. That's what I'm judging him by, and I think that's the criteria we have to hold him to. And if we judge him by that, which you refuse to, Baker Mayfield has not been nearly as successful as you would like for people to believe. Do you know, Skip, that last season, Baker's fourth quarter completion percentage, you say he's accurate, was less than 51%? That's lower than Zach Wilson, a rookie, Daniel Jones, who you have no respect for, Trevor Lawrence, who was a rookie, Sam Darnold, who's the guy that he's in competition with at Carolina, and Drew Lock. And you say Drew Lock was terrible.
And you refused to recognize that he was hurt last year and needed surgery the day after the season ended for a torn labrum in his shoulder. You'll recognize it some days because there were days when you said, what are you playing for?
Whoa. No, Skip. I'm not going to give you a pass if you go out there and play hurt and don't play. No. That's not, Skip, it's not I am hurt, so I can go out here and stank it up. And everybody say, okay, all is forgiven. No, if you're going to go out there and play hurt, you better play well or sit your butt down. So you know what, Skip? He took the $3.5 million left. He got an opportunity to go to Carolina. He believes he can make it up incentives because, in other words, what he's telling Sam Darnold, I believe I will beat you out for this job. That's why I put that money in incentives. I put that in incentives because I believe I won't be able to get it. Because I believe I'm going to rustle this starting job away from you.
By the way, it also begs the question, did Carolina whisper in his ear, you got the job, for him to give up the money, right?
Right.
Did he have some, at least verbal guarantee from Matt Rule or maybe even above Matt Rule that he will be the starting quarterback? I don't know. Go ahead.
Skip, put it on the line. You believe that Baker Mayfield is better than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold does not believe that. Carolina says, okay, it's close. Because if they thought Sam Darnold was over, they would even not touch Baker Mayfield. So with that being said, we're going to find out. One of us going to be right.
That is a fact. Dead solid fact. I will be dead solid right before this is all over.
But guess what, Skip? Guess what? We're going to talk more Carolina Panthers this year than at any given time, even in Cam's MVP season. We're going to talk about Baker and what he didn't make.
All of a sudden, opening day and or night, the premier game, the marquee game becomes, wait a second, Cleveland at Carolina? Really? Cleveland at Carolina as opposed to GOAT at Cowboys on Sunday night, opening Sunday night, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, are you done?
I'm done.
I'm launching. Obviously, to put this back in final perspective, you don't think Baker can play, at least not up to first pick in the draft standards.
Correct.
And I do. And I believe he has for long stretches of his NFL career. But now back to the question that Jen asks. What the hell just happened here? Baker Mayfield just ate almost $4 million worth of salary, turning it into incentives that must be re-earned.
Right.
To get to Carolina? I told you yesterday, my initial gut reaction that I immediately tweeted was, Cleveland just shipped Baker Mayfield to the worst situation they could have shipped him to, an even bigger mess than the Cleveland Browns. The Carolina Panthers, in the latest ESPN Power Ranking, ranked dead last, 32nd. It was as if Cleveland said, let's send him there so he can't come back and haunt us. And yet, it starts to come clear. Baker wanted to go to Carolina. Why would he want to go? The play I said from the start was, hold your horses, be patient, force their hand, get closer and closer to camp, because you know and I know if you got close enough to the start of training camp, they were going to have to release him. Yeah. Am I right? Yeah. They were going to have to eat the whole contract. Period. What was it? Almost $19 million. $18.9 million. Okay, $18.9 million. And Baker would be free. He could just say, I think I'll go there. And Mike Florio, who's pretty plugged in this league, just the other day wrote that there are 11 teams he believed would have some to very much interest in acquiring Baker Mayfield if he hit the open market for nothing.
But here's the thing, Skip. You said, why would he want to go to Carolina? Maybe Carolina was the only place that he had a viable option of going to. It wasn't like other teams were beating down his door. Okay. So with that being said, Skip, it's kind of like when you growing up and you get picked last. Well, that might not have been the team you wanted to play on, but that was the only team that selected you.
Okay, I got it. Now to my Baker-esque theory about why Baker would want to go so badly to Carolina that he pushed it across the finish line by saying, take my $4 million. I'll come there and earn it back. Why would he choose to go to the team ranked 32nd in the latest ESPN Power Ranking?
You're 32nd best quarterback?
No, because that's what he has done his whole life. What has he been? He has been the ultimate walk-on underdog quarterback. Ultimate. No, there's never been anything like him in the history of football, college or pro football. So what did I love about him when he played for my Oklahoma Sooners? Well, it's not just because he played for my Sooners, because I told you before, Sam Bradford, I did not love. I can go through a litany of OU quarterbacks I did not love back to Jason White. I said he can't play in pro football, and he couldn't even make the Kansas City Chiefs roster as a backup quarterback. Okay, the point was, what I loved about him at Oklahoma was his fire, was his spirit, was his intangibles as well as tangibles, because he is a talented overachiever. And it's a weird combination, but he has something. Even you have to agree. He's got some ability. I think he's got a nice arm.
Of course, yeah.
Okay? And I think
this level with no ability.
And when he gets on a roll, he can get on a roll like very few can get on a hot roll. So what happened even after, remember the Georgia game, the national semifinals, the shootouts, 54-48 in double overtime? We had Charlie Weiss, the great Charlie Weiss, sat right there the next day. Brady's first coordinator, obviously head coach at Notre Dame. And he pointed up to that screen because it was Baker Mayfield, and we were talking about the Georgia game. And he said, I'm taking that guy with the first pick in the draft. And you were like, really? Why? Because I can't teach what he has. I can't coach what he has. He's got that fire. It's like back to my days covering baseball. It's pepper pot fire. It's piss and vinegar, if you will. It's the oldest cliche in sports. He's full of piss and vinegar. Well, he is. And we saw him at OU get into it with the Kansas guys, and he's grabbing his crotch and
hit the TCU guy in the
head. And but then he planted the flag at Ohio State. I'm going to get to that in just a moment.
Okay.
But here's the point. How did he start his career in college football? In 2013, Baker Mayfield became the first walk-on true freshman quarterback in college football history to start a season opener for a Power 5 program. It's just extraordinary. He just walks on at Texas Tech and wins the job. Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury was the head coach. They go 5-0. Baker hurts his knee, has to miss a few games. Davis Webb, who's still bouncing around this league, he's been Jets, Giants, Bills. He's back to the Giants now. Right. But he was the third-round pick of the Giants. But Cliff goes with him. And then at that moment, Cliff had signed, guess who was coming in the next year? Patrick Mahomes. So all of a sudden, he and Baker fall apart, because if you diss Baker like the Browns did, he's like, F you, I'm out of here, right?
Yep.
So he said, Cliff, I'm out of here. Where are you going? I don't know. I'm just out of here. His father attended the University of Oklahoma. So Baker's got no guarantees. He doesn't even contact Bob Stoops, the head coach at OU. He just shows up as a student. He enrolls as a regular student and moves into a freshman dorm at the University of, not the jock dorm, a freshman dorm. He's just another guy, and he walks out at practice and says, Coach Stoops, would you mind if I tried out for your team? Well, they knew who he was. Guess what he had won the year before? He won co-offensive rookie of the year, and we couldn't find the co. I think he was just the offensive rookie of the year.
Okay.
So my point is, that's pretty good, right? Well, Stoops knew, obviously, of him. He didn't know him, and they said, sure. And guess what he did? He beat out Trevor Knight for the starting job, and here we go again, right?
And Trevor Knight had just won the Sugar Bowl against Alabama. Beat the brakes off him.
Beat the brakes off him because Alabama had lost the kick six game to Auburn, and they did not want to go to New Orleans, and they did not show up that night. It was not so much about Trevor Knight. It was about Coach Saban's Bama. Okay, so here we go. And then, as you know, Baker is going to, he's on the way to becoming, how do you say it? He beats out Trevor Knight. He became the first former walk-on to win a Heisman Trophy while he led the Sooners to 3 straight Big 12 championships and obviously 2 national semifinals. Okay, so no one had ever done that before. So what does he do early in that final year at Oklahoma? Well, they had gotten the brakes beaten off of them at Norman the previous year by the Ohio State, coached by Urban Meyer. So he goes to Columbus, second game of the year. It's early in September. You remember it's a Saturday night game. And it becomes the plant the flag game. And he goes 27 of 35 for 386, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions with a QBR of 94. And I watched the whole highlight package last night because I started getting intrigued by what did it look like. Shannon, you got to trust me on this. He was sensational. He was. Urban Meyer called it, and will call it to this day. The single best game any quarterback ever played against me was Baker that night in my house beating me. And guess who was chasing him all over the field in the highlight package? Nick Bosa was all over him. Every other play, Nick is chasing him all over the backfield. And Baker's escaping. He's throwing on the move. He is deadly accurate. He is making nothing out of making everything out of nothing. And I'm saying, wow, that was pretty sensational. Now, he did have a young CD. He had Mark Andrews. He had Trey Sermon. They had some weapons. Right. But he was the ultimate weapon. And then against Georgia, he had a very good game, but they lose in double overtime. My point is, it's underdog city going to Cleveland as the first overall pick. Well, obviously, first overall pick and talented underachiever don't really go together because it's not Baker's MO. It's hard to have a chip on your shoulder when you're the first overall pick, right? So he goes to Cleveland, but Hugh Jackson recreated the chip because we get to see him on a Hard Knocks. And what did Hugh Jackson do? He does not elevate him into the starting lineup. He calls him in on Hard Knocks we got to see, and he says, congratulations, young man. You're my backup quarterback. Really? Over Drew Stanton? I beat out Drew Stanton to be the backup, and obviously Tyrod is going to start the game. So Tyrod starts the first 2 games, but the second game is on a Thursday night against the Jets, and he gets hurt near halftime. Right. Baker comes in and lights up the night and throws for 200 yards in really just the second half, and they roar back to beat the Jets 21-17. And I know I'm walking through the halls here at Fox on Friday morning, and people are buzzing about Baker. Did you see that? He ends up winning 7 games as a rookie for a team that was 0-16 because it's the ultimate underdog role. That they had been 1-31 in their previous 2 years, and he's winning 7 games. He is setting the rookie record for touchdown passes of 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. He was 3rd in the league in what Pro Football Focus calls big-time throws, where you're throwing it into tight windows. He had 40 of those, 40 big-time throws as a rookie, was ranked 3rd. They graded overall his performance as a rookie as the 11th best quarterback in the league. Well, you got to give him that. But again, it's underdog city. It's like nobody expected any of this from this team to win 7 games.
But Skip, the thing is that you look at it, you going back and you say, yeah, he played well. but he needs to play better. He can't keep having play good 2 games, play bad 2 games, play good 2 games. I listed a quarterback from Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, to Sam Darnold, to Drew Lock, in which his fourth quarter completion percentage was under theirs, which is his was 51. But when you get to the fourth quarter, and that's when a quarterback makes a name for himself. Fourth quarter, 1-score game, his completion percentage dropped down to 47%. 5 times last season, Baker had a chance to win the game in the fourth quarter. 5 times he failed. Do you remember that Week 16 game against Green Bay? Do you remember he became the first quarterback since Brandon Weeden in 2012 to throw 4 picks? I got a little video. Hey, DJ, got me a new DJ. Yeah. He go, hey, DJ, drop this track. Now, this was a chance to win the game. Now, mind you, at one point in time, Cleveland led 22-10. That's
which game were we talking about?
That's the opening day.
Oh, that was at Kansas City.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, those are the throws. That's the completion percentage that we're talking about right there. That's the completion percentage right there. I'm with you, Odell. I'm with you, bro. Look at what is this, Skip? What is that?
So, do we have time for me to bring back the 4 Odell drops on 3rd down in key situations? Well, we don't have time for that.
We don't have time for it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just saying, Skip, his completion percentage in the fourth quarter, and then when the game is really, like you like to tell me, when you push all the chips to the table, he always gets up from the table. And I need to know why he keep getting up from the table.
Well, you and I are going to agree to disagree on this, but Odell Beckham Jr. was the single worst thing that ever happened to Baker Mayfield's pro football career because it did not work. They did not click. Odell had 3 surgeries while he was a Cleveland Brown, and now he's saying, I played all of last year with no ACL. That's what he says. I played all of last year. Well, that included the first half of the year for that guy, Baker Mayfield. Congratulations, Baker. You're throwing to a guy with no ACL.
And guess what?
And you are forcing
and the reason why I don't have an ACL is because of Baker. Because I'm trying to make a tackle on a horrible pick that he threw. So the beginning of the end of my knee was because of Baker Mayfield.
All I know is I don't think it was any coincidence that 2 years ago, just a mere 2 years ago, when Odell did tear his ACL and was lost at Cleveland, Baker took off. Baker got on an OU roll.
Whatever.
Or maybe an FU roll. How about that, right? Because here he came, and they go 8-3 down the stretch, and he throws 20 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, and they go to Pittsburgh and win their first playoff game in franchise history in 26 seasons. 26 seasons. And he beat Mike Tomlin's team, an arch division rival, at Pittsburgh, and had a QBR of 91, scale of 0 to 100. That's a playoff game. That is special stuff for a still young quarterback. And there was no Odell. I don't know, coincidence, not coincidence. And then he opens the year, and you showed the Kansas City game. All he did in the first 2 games was complete 82% of his passes before he, late in the game against Houston at home, tore his labrum and fractured his shoulder and said, I'm going to suck it up and die for this cause, and I'm going to show you how tough I am. I'm going to play the whole year with all these injuries. It's just hard to throw. He's a torso thrower. He whip throws it with his whole body. And when you can't whip into it, the ball's going to go sideways. And sometimes it did.
Skip, it's hard for me to imagine those guys, the guys that I mentioned, and they didn't have the talent that Baker had. Look at all he had to do was not script the gears. Just keep the Ferrari in first. I might let you get to second gear, but just don't script the gears. He scripted the gears, which Kareem Hunt. And Hunt got hurt, but he had Chubb Rock. Chubby was running the ball. Look at the receivers. I get it. Jarvis Landry was nicked a lot, but Peoples-Jones wasn't nicked. And Joko, they had Austin Hooper. If you notice, everybody's going. Now, you kept telling Njoku, Odell, Landry, and Austin Hooper, all those guys are gone. Now, guess what? Baker got all of them up out of there. Baker cost every last one of them. Jarvis Landry a job, Austin Hooper a job. Who else he called? He called somebody else a job, too.
Maybe they got him up out.
No. He's the thrower. No, he's the most important. They play. Hold on. You keep telling everybody that's listening at home that receiver and tight end is a dependent position. I'm depending on you like the 1st and the 15th, and my money ain't come this month. So now they got me up out of here.
So you also agreed with me. It was unprecedented that a Deshaun Watson at age 25, a top 3 quarterback in my estimation, would come available. Are you kidding me? And I was the first to say, go get him. Except all of a sudden, Atlanta and New Orleans got cold feet because of Deshaun's off-the-field issues.
Right.
And they were pulling their offers slowly but surely back off the table. And after Deshaun and company had said no to Cleveland the first time, they go back to Cleveland a second time. And Cleveland's like, yeah, we could have you. Yeah, we'll give you $230 million guaranteed.
They did. But Cleveland also knew the swirling circular, what was the allegations, and they says we don't care. We'd rather have these allegations, we don't know the uncertainty or the timetable of when they're going to be resolved. But we still want him over Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Doesn't that tell you something?
Doesn't tell me anything, because I would want Deshaun over Baker if I knew for sure Deshaun was eligible to play.
You didn't know.
Okay. Well, at some point he is going to be eligible.
They might have suspended him indefinitely.
Okay. Well, they're not going to suspend him for life.
They might have.
Okay. Well, I don't think
given the allegation.
Okay. Well, do you think they're going to?
No, I don't. But Cleveland couldn't possibly know.
So here's the bottom line. I believe that Baker Mayfield, ultimate overachiever, says, hey, if everybody says Carolina can't do nothing, I'm going to go there and show you they can do something, because he's looking at what's left in the cupboard. And your little man, Christian McCaffrey, he's played 10 total games in 2 years. Maybe Baker's saying, well, what if he stays healthy? Yeah. What if he stays healthy for a whole year? Maybe I got a chance, right?
Cuba Hubbard.
Okay.
DJ Moore.
Well, DJ Moore can flat out just fly.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a big-time number one receiver. Yeah. And then They did completely remake and retool their offensive line, and they drafted the North Carolina kid to be their new left tackle. And I know he's a rookie, but still, their line has to be better than it was a year ago. And on defense,
it still won't be comparable to Cleveland.
No, it won't. Although they got Cleveland's left guard, they signed him to go there, that Austin Corbett. So you got that going for you. And Brian Burns is one of the better edge rushers, right, on defense. And J.C. Horn, I love coming out of college, obviously. Can he stay healthy? But my point is, Baker's looking at the glass is half full here. He says, give me that, and I'll show you. So here he comes.
Okay.
This is chip on shoulder Baker Mayfield.
Cleveland said, don't look at the back window. We want to get you up out of here.
Okay.
Don't look back.
You're going to have to look back at all the words that you spoke about this guy.
We are off to a blazing start this morning. Great job so far. All right, from Skip's guy Baker over to Shannon's guy LeBron. Is he going to force the Lakers to make a...
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.